Good morning. Form 944 for 2020. Employer's Annual Federal Tax Return. Part 1, line 10 to 12. In the previous video, we and podcast at the same time, we say we will address line 6 to 12, but we only address it to 9. So line 6 to 9. So this one will continue. We'll address line 10, 11, and 12 for Form 944 for 2020. So line 10A, total deposit for this year, including overpayment, apply from prior year. So if you are required to make deposit, it will go on line 10A. And you will make deposits via EFT using EFT PS. So that will go on line 10A, or if you have a refund, that overpayment that you didn't receive, it will go there as well. Line 10B, deferred amount of the employer's share of Social Security tax. So let's go check the instructions on that. And the instructions will be on page 13 of 2020 instructions for Form 944, and it will be on our blog under free download. The link to access the Form 944 for 2020 and 2020 instructions for Form 944. You don't need to log in or subscribe to access them under free download, and that will just take you to the IRS page where they are, and you'll be able to download them to your computer. So defer amount of the employer's share of Social Security. So enter the amount of employer's share of Social Security tax that you are deferring. Employers, including government employers, can defer the deposit of the employer's share of Social Security tax due on or after March 27, 2020 and before January 1st, 2021, as well as payments due for the employer's share of Social Security tax for wages paid on or after March 27, 2020 and before January 1st, 2021. The employer's share of Social Security tax is included on line 4A and B. We discussed that in prior videos, along with the employee's share of Social Security tax. However, you determine the amount of the employer's share of Social Security that can be deferred by only considering Social Security tax on wages related to deposit and payment due on or after March 27, 2020. Don't include the employee Social Security tax reported on line 4AI and 4AII as part of the deferred amount of the employer's share of Social Security tax. So if we go back to the form, line 10B is for the employer's share of the Social Security tax that you don't want to pay right away, you want it to defer. Line 10C, deferred amount of the employee's share of Social Security tax will go there, and I will believe it will be for the same time frame as well, but that will be the employee share of it. And if we pull the federal tax withheld spreadsheets that we have, as a spreadsheet that allows you to calculate the employees Social Security, employees Medicare, and then the employer Social Security and the employer Medicare. So the tax rate is just the same for both parties. So for the time frame for March 27, 2020 that you're referring to, so if you are tracking incomes properly, especially for 2020. The cutoff date they are using is March 27, 2020. So you have to take that into consideration if you are not going to pay the full amount. And that'll be pretty much the same time frame. Let's see here if they are addressing, but you see they have enough information on that. And then they have information on how to pay the deferred amount of Social Security tax. And it can be paid electronically using EFTPS. So they have information if you have not made those deposits and you wanted to do that. They have a lot of information on that in the instructions, and you have to read it. So deferred amount of employer share of Social Security tax. Enter the amount of the employer share of Social Security tax that you are deferring for the year. On August 8, 2020, the President issued a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of the Treasury to use his authority pursuant this session to defer the holding, deposit, and payment of certain payroll tax obligations. So what I'm looking for is the date. I wanted to make sure the date. For the employer is from March 27. See what they are saying. So the period beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending April 30th, 2021, applicable wages and Social Security wages of less than $4,000 in any bi-weekly pay period or the equivalent threshold amount of other pay period pay on a pay date during the period beginning September 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020. So anyway, you can defer tax that you have already paid. You will read the instructions to see if you wanted to defer payments. What is the time frame for the employer is and the date, and when you should pay those deferred amount. So they will address that on page 13 and 14. So let's go back to our sheet. But if that section does not apply to your business, you don't spend a lot of time on it. You just move on. But if you have deferred amount to address, it's good to read the instruction to make sure you accurately reflect the amount that you need to reflect here. So line D, refundable portion of credit for qualified sick and family leave wages from worksheets. So we addressed that in a previous video, and there is a worksheet at the end of the instruction, and that helps you calculate the credits if you are taking those credits to calculate the non-refundable portion and the refundable portion as well. So there is a refundable portion of the credit for qualified sick and family leave wages, and let's see, and then there is refundable portion of employee retention credits. That's what I'm more interested in. So enter the refundable portion of the employee retention credit from worksheet 1 step 3 line 3I. The employee retention credit is 50% of the qualified wages you pay to your employees between March 13, 2020 and December 31st, 2020. The refundable portion of the credit is allowed after the employer's share of Social Security tax is reduced to 0 by non-refundable credit. And they will have, let's see here. So we have let's go back there. I can show you the worksheets if you have not seen it. Let me just, is on page 20. And that's the worksheet. And you have employee retention credit session here on step 3. And family leave credit on step 2. And to determine the employer's share of Social Security tax this year after it is reduced by any credit claim on Form 8974 and any credit to be claimed on Form 5884C in step 1. So let's go back up. Okay. Line 10F, total deposits. Don't know if you address refundable. Yeah, so this is there as well. So line 10F, total deposits, deferred and refundable credit. So that will be all the 10s together. And here it is 0 because we didn't claim any credits and we didn't defer any tax either. So our 10 is 0. And if you have any dollar amount on any line of your 10s, you throw them all and you put on line 10F. And please don't round. And remember, if your line 9 total tax after adjustment is 0, you can put 0 there, don't leave it blank. But anything else, any other line that has 0, you just leave it blank. Total advances received from filing Form 7200 for the year will go on line 10 in G. 10H, total deposits, deferrals and refundable credits less advances. So let's see what that 7200 form is. Total advances received. Enter the total advances received from filing Form 7200 for the year. So if you file Form 7200 but you haven't received the advance before filing Form 944, don't include that amount. Employers were eligible to file Form 7200 if they pay qualified sick leave wages, qualified family leave wages, and or qualified wages for the employee retention credits, and the amount of employment tax deposits they retain wasn't sufficient to cover the cost of qualified sick and family leave wages and the employee retention credits. Form 7200 may be filled up to the earlier of February 1st, 2021 or the filing of Form 944 for the year. However, if you file Form 7200 after the end of the year, it is possible that it may not be processed prior to the processing of the file Form 944. Advance payments. Requests on Form 7200 won't be paid after your Form 944 is processed. When the IRS processes Form 944, we will correct the amount reported on line 10G to match the amount of advance payment issued or contact you to reconcile the difference before we finish processing Form 944. Good. So line 10H, total deposit, deferrals, and refundable credits less advances. So that would be line 10F total deposits, deferred and refundable credits, minus line G, total advances received from filing form 7,200 for the year. In our case, is 0. We left it blank, or we leave it blank. Line 11, balance due. If line 9 is more than line 10H, enter the difference here on line 11. So line 9 is 3730. Line 10H is 0. So line 11 is line 9 minus line 10H. $37.30 minus 0 is $37.30. So we'll put it on line 11. But if your line 10H is more, that's the deposit, the refundable credits, and the advances. If it's more than your total tax after adjustment on line 9, then you'll put it on line 12 over payment, and you check the two boxes, apply to next return, send a refund. There are two boxes there. You check either one that you want for your business to get the refund or to apply it toward the next return. That's why on line 10A they ask total deposits from prior year. So if you are applying toward the next return and you check that box, keep in mind that you have that you have to put on 10A next year when you file form 944. Or you check the box to ask them to send you a refund. So if you have an overpayment, you put on line 12, that's what you will do. In our case, we have a balance due, tax liability of $37.30, and we put it on line 11. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you all that subscribe to our channel. I'm Afiavio Junior Lieberman, creators of Lieberman Consulting L.L.C. YouTube channel, Lieberman Consulting L.L.C. podcast, ninassoap.com, our blog, and we do have our online store, ninassoap.com. That's the natural product store. Custom apparel store, liberlabel.com. Resale store, liberoutlet.com. And digital product store, liberdownload.com. Thank you.